Okay, hello, I'm Tom Smith, and today I'm going to be doing something a little different. You see, I have this blog where I do some sort of writing each month, and I've written a few kind of like essay-like things. And I figured it'd be interesting just to read out the essays in a live video like this for my channel here, which is what I'm going to do today. I'll have a link when this is posted and up already, and I'm done with this. I'll have a link down below, hopefully, to the blog if you're interested. If not, I get it. So let me just, if you read the title, you know it's about like natural disaster movies and my thoughts on that. So yeah, my thoughts on natural disaster movies is that they suck. And here's a list of some of the reasons why it sucks. So you start off with number one, the expert. Each of these films have some sort of expert that rambles on the ways of disaster while being so bogus that even an average person's knowledge knows that it's BS, along with their horrible backstory of how they lost loved ones from the disaster they choose to face. And that's a big thing about problem with a lot of these films is the choosing thing. They shouldn't be choosing to get into the fray of disaster. It should just happen to them without wanting to, by chance is what I mean. Anyways, a second is unnatural natural disasters. It's not good enough just to have an earthquake. It has to be the biggest one ever, and it's going to destroy everything. And it's going to hit the most popular cities like LA or New York. And of course, absurd action sequences, number three. Disaster action seems so fantastic that in real life the characters would have died then and there. And four is, of course, useless subplots. Uh-oh, main character's in a rocky divorce with wife-husband. Let's spend most of the runtime having this take priority over the risk of death. Yeah. So, these are some of the problems. Anyways, how can we make a good disaster movie? Well, first, stick to one. Let me repeat that again. One regular. I hate to have to use that word, but just one regular natural disaster with nothing over the top and no disaster babble. The film should never focus on experts or the disaster itself. With this in mind, here's what I think would actually work for a good disaster movie if they ever made one. The main character's piece should be like regular people. So in this case, I'll use a family. That knows little to nothing about disaster. The central theme of the movie will be survival. How far would this family go to stay alive? Would they do immoral things like steal or kill? How would that affect them mentally? These are the sorts of things you should be exploring through character and story through the events of a disaster that they have to survive through. Anyways, anyways, these questions should be considered and explored throughout the film. So news drops of an upcoming, excuse me. So news drops of the upcoming disaster, starting with this rising storm. Tensions, get higher in the neighborhood as precautions are met. The family gets ready to leave when the storm hits. Here you can have like a burst of some action here. Then let the family deal with the aftermath of losing everything, like their home and all their belongings. and then also and also explore story wise this increasing danger of a lawless society before some sort of law and order returns, and then you can let the family learn to move on and rebuild their lives, or have them being capable of this. All this you could explore through story, through character, and instead you know we get shit like 2012 or Day After Tomorrow. Anyways, so less B-movie action flick and closer to the real thing, perhaps as an historical or historical fiction film, adapted from the lives of the survivors. After all, there's a ton of real natural disasters like Katrina or St. Helen that you can adapt. But that means getting research on the events that transpired and to show it on screen through the eyes of the survivors. So some final notes I made. Subplots, for the most part, should be avoided in this kind of film, unless it can complement with the disaster itself. Like, you can have for an example, you can have a heist movie building up to this heist when halfway through the thieves hear news of an upcoming disaster. They realize how much easier this is for them to steal, opening for them to steal the stuff, and when the disaster is near, they use it to their advantage. So something like that could probably work in context, or maybe like a fight sort of sequence, kind of like what the what was that film called? Ah, shit, I can't think of it. Ah, oh well. There's this one film recently that happened, and I'm totally drawing a blank where they did a decent job of having this action scene while this hurricane's coming in. Oh, darn it. It's that Denzel Washington movie that I can't think of the name of for the life of me. Anyways, those are some good examples, but most cases subplots don't really, anyways, work in this sort of thing. Oh, and finally, if you want to do an over the top, completely fictitious kind of disaster movie, make it supernatural. It'd be a lot easier for you if it's something completely made up instead of relying on something that actually is a real life thing. And yeah, that's mostly what I wrote down in a blog post a while ago. And yeah, that's all I gotta say on that. So yeah,